George. I'm happy that we're starting it finally, for real, because this has been in the works for a long time. You know, I've always wanted to start a podcast.
Yes.
Ever since I made the brand, I made it. The first thing I ever made was a logo.
Logo, right?
First thing ever, yeah. That's when the brand started. But my ambitions that surround the brand began back when I had this little blue journal. And I started to write in it every day. And I started to write in it also my prayers, but also my conversations with God. And then I thought to myself, I want to post this stuff on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like my opinions and my thoughts matter in a way.
Right.
Or that they're important. So I began to post some of the things that I wrote down on Instagram. And I decided to make a logo for the Instagram. And I didn't bring them to you today, but I'll show them to you another day. They're the drawings I had originally of what it used to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I just chose my favorite animal, which was an owl. And the reason I chose an owl is because it represents wisdom or whatever. And I just thought, how can I make an owl represent the logo, United Wisdom, that was in my head? Eventually, I came along with the little W that's in the middle of it. And it took...
Oh, I never saw it.
You never seen the W?
This W for wisdom, it's
Yeah.
part of the owl, so...
It took maybe about 20 sketches until I got that exact idea. Like, every detail that I have on it, like the little feathers in the middle, the beak like that long, and
It's
the eyes.
deliberate.
It's the lines and the feathers. Everything is exactly how I wanted it. And so I had an aunt back in Nicaragua, and she's a graphic designer, and she made it for me, like the actual logo. And then now I just edit it in different ways depending on how the content looks that I'm posting.
You even made a shirt for me.
Yeah, that's the shirt. This is the shirt. This is hopefully the beginning of merch.
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 Yeah, that's your first merch.
Yeah, first merch. So anyways, this is my best friend George. He's been my friend since, what is it? It's 2023. Started the youth group when I was in 10th grade.
This month it's gonna be 2 years.
That we're friends?
Yeah.
For real? It can't be.
Yeah, we met.
It has to be more than that.
We met October of 2021.
How do you remember the exact date?
I don't remember the exact day. I remember the month and the stage in my life where I was in, where I met you. I remember that.
2021.
Because it was at the beginning of senior year.
I remember
High school.
I remember the first day I entered into the youth group.
Yeah.
It was still in the other room with the big table in the middle. You remember? You don't remember.
Yeah, maybe you went. Okay, so we met at the youth group, in our church, in our parish, in a Catholic church, called Holy Rosary Saint Richard. Probably you have already been in some sessions in the youth group beforehand, but there was one time we met in the actual.
No, I had met you and I spoke to you the first day I went. I remember.
Really?
Yeah. You don't remember?
I don't remember.
It was, I can't remember. Remember the girl that was from Greece? The chubby girl that was from Greece? Okay. I can't remember who was coordinating it that day.
I'll do a little ASMR for the audience.
I'm so tired. I need more of this.
Hopefully that picks up good. It's root beer. What girl from Greece? I don't remember a girl from Greece.
You probably don't remember her.
I just remember you were like...
Okay. You know the old church library where we have the meetings for the other stuff?
I didn't meet you there.
No. Behind it. You remember now, right?
That room?
Yes.
You were not there, bro.
Yes, I was. Not the first day. But I did go in, like, weeks after it started.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in that big room. And I remember because we had this activity where we were going around each person in the table like that. And you were the one in the middle that got picked. And I was like one of the last ones. Or like third to last ones. And I remember them asking you a question. And you gave such a like thought-provoking answer, and it was like a well-constructed answer that kids our age wouldn't have come up with. And I was like, I want to be friends with that guy. I've never told you this, right?
No.
Yeah, that's how it happened. I was like, I want to be friends with him, and I think I remember. That was a time where I was like, where I had written like half. That's the journal right there, the blue journal.
Oh, you have it.
Where I had written about half of it, and I was like really into God and like all the thoughts that came with it, like all the like theology in the church and all that. And I was still very novice, like I was still a novice at everything.
Yeah.
That pertained to it. But I thought I knew stuff, and I probably knew more than the average person. But the way that you answer that question is like, I knew that you've been thinking about those things way more than I had. And I was like, I want to be friends with him. And when you answered the question, I was like this. I was like nodding, and I was looking at you, trying to see if you would look at me. And I was like nodding. And then it was my time to answer the question. And I was like, and I said, oh yeah, basically him and this.
No, yeah. I remember maybe we like there's a misalignment in the dates when we recognize each other's presence, you know.
No, for sure.
Because you recognize me first. I recognize you later. In the parish center.
The parish, yeah.
In the big center. We were in the circle too, and you sat across me. I remember that. We talked in public. We talked like an open discussion.
I don't remember what we talked about.
I don't remember what I talked about, but I don't know what happened. Whether I approached you, I think I approached you to say hi.
You think maybe I wrote something about it in the journal? Because I was still writing in it in 2021.
Really?
Yeah.
Look like around.
It's
October.
almost done. The journal's almost done. This is the journal, by the way. If you want to see it, it's old. It has like punch marks and everything. The beginning. April 2019.
Ooh. So that's like United Wisdom.
This is like the beginning of United Wisdom.
Oh, okay. You see? That's.
I'll read the first couple sentences. This journal will hold a wide range of my thoughts, experiences, knowledge, and opinions. This is my third and final attempt to find a book to use. Third and final attempt to find a book to use. Because I had like... I had like black notebooks that were just like the basic ruled notebooks for classes.
Right.
I didn't like them because they weren't... Like, they didn't feel formal enough, professional enough. So I got an actual like hardcover like journal.
Yeah, it felt like homework, right?
Many of these things won't be very organized as my mind wanders a lot. I have so many questions about almost everything, and I will try my best to solve them. I don't have much planned whatsoever. This is all free writing, in quotations. I want to learn the most I possibly can. And then it's just the rest of the page. But anyways, October what? 2021?
October 2021. I don't know exactly the day, but it should be like at the beginning of senior year. Of our senior year of high school.
That's before senior year, because August is... What do you mean senior year?
We met senior year of high school.
So I didn't start sophomore year? No, I didn't start sophomore year. I started senior year. No, yeah, I started senior year.
We met each other senior year of high school.
And I started senior year because you started sophomore year.
I started way before.
So October 20... Let me see what I wrote. October 17. I don't see anything. No.
What would you write about me on your journal?
Because I knew we were gonna be friends.
So you remember writing about me on the journal?
I don't remember about writing about you, but I remember that you were important enough to maybe write about. So I'm thinking about that. Maybe you were there.
No, yeah.
So how do you remember meeting me? Because I feel like I do remember talking to you in the parish hall, but there's many times I remember talking to you in the parish.
No, the first time I remember actually like recognizing you was
my presence, my existence.
Your existence, because I saw you and I thought, this is a really not good looking guy.
You did not think that.
Oh, look at his nose.
For real?
Yeah, like.
Now you want me to cover my nose?
Yeah, this dude's like, nah, bro. But he looks cool. He looks serious. I'm just gonna like. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I was the one who approached you and say hi. How are you?
You approached me?
Yeah. It was either that or you approached me very gently. It was one of that. But you had a question regarding the Old Testament and how do you reconcile the violence that happens in the Old Testament?
Like the violence?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
I do remember that. And I try to give my best answer. I don't know what I said, but hold up, please cut this.
I'm not cutting it. It's going on. It's going on.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
He has to cut it. He pays me for it.
I don't pay you anything. Like if I'm making a dime.
Yeah,
anyways,
not yet.
You were saying.
What? No, what I was. That's how I met. We met in the parish hall. There was a conversation. We exchanged numbers. The conversation went for a while, I think.
But I asked for your number.
I don't remember what happened. We exchanged number and then.
Oh, no, I was probably in the youth group and I took your number from the youth group. Like, because in the youth group messages, the group chat, I took your number from the name that I saw.
You did that?
I probably did. That's probably what I did.
No, but I remember I got your number. Like, I gave you my phone and you typed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because I asked you, because your name is weird. His name is Osrick, by the way.
Yeah, put me on blast.
Yeah, because he called me by my name.
I don't call you by your name. I call you George, but
that's not my name.
I don't call it the way you like it.
Yeah. So his name is weird. Your name is weird. It's not weird. It's not popular enough for me to remember. So I gave you my phone and you type your name, Osrick Espinosa.
Mm-hmm.
And then you texted me a couple of days later about trading and investing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, why, bro? Is this one of those scams?
That's old. That's like not that important, but
it is important because like it turned me off. I was like about to block you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I thought you were some
like
scammer or something. You're a bot or something.
Like a real life bot.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to like scam money from me.
No.
You're like, oh.
I do feel like I remember it was kind of hard to have conversation with you through text because I didn't know at the time that you didn't like texting.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of already knew that you were like a smart dude that was more serious than me. So I kind of put two and two together. Like smart dudes that are serious are usually busy and don't waste their time with people that are low level thinkers like me. Like I wouldn't call myself a low level thinker at the time, but I would say that you were more educated than me on most things.
And you think I perceived you that way?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because that's how I knew I was. I'm not gonna lie.
The way I perceived you, and this is the honest truth, I perceived you as someone who was curious. Not
right,
someone
curious,
who was
but that doesn't mean that
who was not able of thinking or was maybe you had less knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's okay. I didn't care about that. I knew I was like that because at that point in my life I was trying to grow from the person that was always the obnoxious one in class, the class clown.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that people probably perceive that still, you know. But anyways,
I mean that was your chance to start fresh because I had no idea who you were, so and I didn't know you.
Yeah, because I had just moved as well. No, I moved 2 years ago, but the church I didn't have any relationship with the people of the church.
Yeah.
Like that yet. So yeah, that's how you and I became friends. Ever since then, we started having deep conversations outside the church after the youth group at night.
In the parking lot.
About very important things, very deep things. Out in the parking lot, like prostitutes.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like that sometimes.
Yeah, I remember you would sit in my car and we would just talk, or we would just stand outside the car and talk.
Yeah, no touching though.
No touch. You make it sound so gay. I'm not gonna lie, this part of the podcast sounds really gay.
It sounds really gay.
It does. Anyways.
We're not, by the way.
No. I have a girlfriend.
He does.
He doesn't, so he's gay.
So,
his sexuality is ambiguous.
All things being equal, I'm gay in comparison to him because he has a girlfriend.
That's how we're gonna find. That's a standard.
That's a standard.
That's a standard today. If you have no girlfriend, you're gay.
You're gay.
You're gay. And if you have a girlfriend but you're not married, you're half gay. Because if you break up, then you're gay again.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
So then
you're like bye.
No. Shut up. That's so stupid. Forget it. Anyways, so yeah, that's how we became friends. That's how United Wisdom started, in a nutshell.
It started before.
It started way before you.
It
started with the journal, without me knowing that it was going to turn into that. Although I kind of had an idea that I wanted it to be something big, I just didn't know how or what it was. But then along my journey through understanding more of the church, I realized that my thoughts have a place in at least a part of a community in the church. I didn't know what part of the community, but as of right now, I know that I want it I want it to involve a lot of people. I don't want it to just be like explicit. I want it to be like, I don't want it to be too inclusive, but I want it to be inclusive enough into which I allow people to come in and just talk about anything they want. But at the same time, when it comes to me and making decisions based on it, it's gonna be held at the standard of Catholic morals. That's the truth. Like, the rules and the vision is gonna be along the Catholic way of doing things. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's your job to like explain the audience what you mean.
But the thing is, I haven't put that much thought into it. So, okay, look.
So if I say,
you know me in the way that I don't think like in my head as other people do. Because then if I start thinking, I get lost into like another thing. I think while talking, because I feel like when I talk, because you're there, you keep me like aligned in the topic. You know what I mean? So here's what I mean by aligned to Catholic morals. I mean,
so I share my opinion, you share your opinion,
and you don't have to be Catholic.
I could be anyone, right?
Right. But if anything you share promotes anything away that goes against Catholic morals,
you're gonna ban it.
I would have to ban it.
Right.
Like, it would be restricted. Because I've actually learned recently, like, no one should be free speech absolutists.
I agree.
Right. You should be restricted from certain things that you could say. I wouldn't like the idea of promoting, you know, the LGBTQ movement or abortion or, you know, sex outside of marriage, things like that. If I had someone, for example, I want United Wisdom to have many mediums. That's what I was thinking. Many mediums. I want it to be artistic. I want it to be political. I want it to be religious. I want people to express their creativity in the brand in whichever way they want. Examples.
Within the boundaries?
Within the boundaries of Catholic morals. But the idea is that I want the brand to have many channels. For example, like if I have my, like, for example, like, you could use the Daily Wire as an example. Like, I want it to have many channels in the way that if, let's say I want an artistic aspect to the brand, and it already has a community of a couple thousand people.
Yeah.
If there's a certain person that's like, hey, look, I'm an artist. I love making Catholic art, or I love just making art in general, like beautiful things, landscapes. Just okay, we can make a new Instagram, promoted by United Wisdom. So now your stuff has a chance of gaining a following based on the brand, and your art gets its recognition as well. And we can also use your art for the brand itself. You know what I mean?
That's gonna happen once a brand gets some level of recognition. It expands. Once it's expanded.
And it doesn't have to expand to the point in which, like, these people can earn commission. I'm talking about people that just want to do it for the sake of doing it. And they can use the brand since it's expanded to the point in which there's now an audience, that they can therefore take an audience from here and use it in their own creative way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, if anyone wanted to create their own podcast or show and use United Wisdom as a brand, and maybe at that point we would be able to pay them.
As a media company.
Yeah, there you go. It could be a media company. I wanted to expand far enough to do anything. Because a media company is very vague. Like, what do you mean by media company? What topic of media? You can do anything. That's what I mean.
No, exactly. And
That's
you're
what I
being
mean.
and you
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it
your
is.
vision is vague enough to allow
Mm-hmm.
video, art,
Mm-hmm. Maybe
music.
music as well. Yeah. Maybe that's what I mean by. That's what I want the company to be, like, broad in a sense, like a media company.
In the long term.
In the long term. And we've spoken about what long term means.
100 years.
Until I.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't think that I can survive on, in the way I envision it. Like, this is what I would do maybe. I would destroy this. Like, if I were to die, I'm pretty sure I'd, like, burn all of it. Like, I'd have it all burned. But then the other people that have their place in the company already, they isolate and create their own part of it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't use this anymore. The audience that they've taken and that they've been able to accumulate using this is what's left for them.
And the content that was created for
the content that was created for this, I'm not saying it's gonna go away. I'm saying there's no more content that's gonna come from this anymore.
No more content created, produced.
Right, because I don't feel like the message can be reciprocated. It probably can in a different way. I feel like I've heard something recently about people, like, there's only certain companies that outlive the person that created it.
Mm-hmm.
But those companies that do outlive it, they're never the same. They're never what it actually was in the beginning.
Of course.
The message always gets corrupted some way down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I don't want that is because if this brand is corrupted and if it's actually becomes what I envision, which can be a sense of hope for people.
Right.
And, based on good Catholic morals, if someone takes over this and like taints the name of United Wisdom, people are going to look at how it originally was in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I don't necessarily agree with everything.
Because so the popular consensus is the thing that overtakes what it originally was, and that becomes what it actually is. That's why I don't want this to outlive me. Does that make sense now?
So you and your vision for the company is the source of it.
It's the source.
Without you,
it's the source of its survival. Because as long as I'm dead, then it's dead. Now
it could survive without you, but it wouldn't be the same.
But that's really rare to happen. That someone takes it over and fully commits to the idea.
Of course, they're not gonna commit. They're gonna change it.
Because they're gonna change some things. They're gonna change some things.
I will change the name, the logo, and
exactly. They're gonna change something of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not the same. So in a more simple way, if I die, the company dies. I'd have it written somewhere in the will. And then people that have created something from it, that's all they have left. Now, the content that is left from this won't be thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
It will still be there.
Right.
In the same way that a TV series that people say, oh, season 1, 2, and 3 were amazing. I wish they made a season 4. But there's no season 4. Because it probably would have been bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. The original creator died after season 3. And the people that owned it respected the original creator enough to not make season 4. No matter how badly people wanted it, how much money it would bring in. Does that make more sense? That's what I mean. Because then all people will say after season 4 is, the show was kind of bad. The show was kind of bad.
That's not necessarily true.
It could have been great, but it was kind of bad. Because
I don't agree with that part.
Okay, maybe it's just me trying to be a perfectionist, trying to make all season 1 through 4 perfect. You know what I mean?
Because let's say, it's not always like that, of course. Great example is The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons. It's the longest running TV show, animated TV show. 30, I don't know, plus seasons. The best seasons are from season 1 to season 10 around. That's the beginning. That's how the show was conceived throughout the first years. After that, it's a completely different show. I wouldn't say just because the change that The Simpsons is bad. I would recommend people to watch The Simpsons season 1 to 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't recommend someone to watch season 11 on.
You see, maybe that's what I want. I want people to say, I want you to watch all of United Wisdom because it's all good, rather than I only want you to watch a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's just me trying to be a perfectionist, but that's what I want. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that no one can create this. And I'm saying that no one's created this before. I mean, there's many companies that are built around Catholic morals, like Catholic Answers, Matt Fradd's, Pints with a Coin, like all those people.
Mm-hmm.
They're Christ-centered.
Yes.
I want this to be Christ-centered, but it doesn't mean that if this dies, then there's not going to be another brand or community or media company in which Christ is the center of it.
Of course.
But what I prefer is that when I go, this goes, and someone else has the balls to come and say, I want to create this, and it's Christ-centered in their own way. That way it's authentic to them the same way this is authentic to me. You know what I mean? That's what I want.
I know what I mean. I just want the audience to be clear about that.
Yeah. And I want you to be clear about it as well.
No, yeah, I've been clear about it. I just been,
No, because I know.
I've been stalling it so you expand upon it because I know what you think. You're not organized with your thoughts. Enough.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you talk about who you are? Okay, everyone knows your name is George. Everyone knows your name is George. You prefer it being said as Jorge.
Yes.
And every time I call you Jorge, I make sure there's a pause between whore and hey.
Yes. Jorge.
Anyways, say your full name so they could stalk your LinkedIn.
No. You're the host. You're supposed to present me. Be like, this is Jorge.
Alright, but I've already presented you in a way. I already told you where we met.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us what you're doing right now.
Okay, right now, I'm a 20-year-old college student. I'm not going to say where I go to school.
Why not?
Okay, I go to Miami-Dade College. I'm not going to say what campus. I'm not going to say what campus, but
they're going to search you up.
We live in Miami, Florida.
No, we don't. We live in Ohio.
But yeah, I'm studying industrial engineering. I'm in my second year of college. I'm in a really good honors program at the community college that offers me a lot of opportunities when it comes to financing my education.
Light flex.
Yes. And we used to work together.
That's so crazy. That was just a week ago.
Right? For a year, I worked at Shake Shack.
And I've been working there for 7 months. About 7.
It was a great experience being able to have my actual first, hard work job. Because before during high school, I used to do DoorDash delivery, Uber Eats. And it was some side hustle. I just wanted to get some gas money. But it doesn't feel the same. I feel like working fast food teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you hospitality. It teaches you how to actually handle mean people outside and inside the kitchen, including the managers. And also teaches you, the income that I earned for that year make me more independent.
What about humility?
Humility. I mean, I don't think it has never been a problem,
No, I'm sure, but practicing it is important.
Yeah. No, yeah, of course.
Remaining patient and calm and obedient to a manager that's really annoying.
That's basically what it is.
It's a lot of humility.
That burp.
The burp is full of humility.
Full of humility.
Not pride. Humility.
Bro, this root beer makes me burp.
Is it good?
Bad. It's really good, but it's making me burp, and the burp is basically a facial fart.
A facial fart?
Yes.
That's what my grandma says.
She says that?
She's like, un pedo
de la boca.
De la boca. Yeah.
Oh, and we speak Spanish too, eh? So we're like...
He speaks Spanish. I speak Spanglish.
But you do speak Spanish.
But bad.
But
bad.
But 70%.
70%?
Around. I've heard you speak
I'd say way less than that.
But you could communicate like.
It's a broken 70%. There you go. It's a 70% that like fluctuates.
It's an unpracticed 70%. Because I feel like if you were to practice.
My first language was Spanish. You know that, right?
There you go. So you have.
When I was a kid, I would translate for people.
So you have a basis in the language. You just you don't practice it.
Yeah.
You don't get to practice.
I need to summon my ancestors to help me. In me, just.
No, your ancestors spoke some sort of Aztec language.
The Nicaraguan Indian mixture.
No, yeah.
Okay, so.
That's me. I'm a college student, and he is also a college student too, even though he doesn't want to say.
Okay, state your religion.
State my religion.
As if it's unknown.
My religion is Roman Catholic, like the thing that you put on your government paper.
You're not what's the one called? Moabite Catholic?
No, I'm not a Moabite.
Is that Moabite or is it something else? Maronite. Mayonnaise, right?
Mayonnaise Catholic.
Chaldean, Armenian, the Jesus one.
The Jesus one.
The Jesus Armenian. Hallelujah, praise God, Allah. Okay, so Roman Catholic. When did you start getting serious about your faith?
Getting serious. I always took it seriously. I always thought it was serious. I was not serious.
Right. So when did you start getting serious about it?
Let me try to recall.
Summon your ancestors.
I'm summoning
This is like actually becoming like new spiritual age podcast.
I'm summoning my white ancestors to remember.
Black Panther. Go back in the Black Panther timeline.
Sophomore year of high school.
Dang, that's a lot earlier that's a lot like more recent than I thought it would be. But honestly, now that I think back, I think we're like the same.
Sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
It was there.
So sophomore year of high school. When's the first time you felt actual deep conviction?
So when I was 10, I did my first communion. My mom was not present. She was living here in the USA. And back in my home country, I did my first communion. I remember I wasn't paying attention much because I was more focused on like a cute girl that I liked. Oh, look, a cute girl. She's eating the Eucharist. Oh, look how cute she's not a saint.
She's not a saint?
She's now a saint.
Oh, she's now a saint.
Yeah.
And you had other plans.
No, yeah, but I remember if you see we have pictures of my first communion. I look so depressed.
Yeah.
I was a depressed 10-year-old because
Was it because you were convicted, or simply because like?
No, I was thinking of my mom because I didn't have my mom. And I felt I was being left out by my family because I come from not from a traditional family structure, so. My parents weren't married. My parents weren't married.
I mean, in America, it's pretty traditional, don't you think? I'm gonna take this off. I don't want to
conventional, but not traditional. Yeah. By convention, it has become, but it's not. I don't think your ancestors were having sex before marriage.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were.
The Christian ones.
Oh. Even the Christian ones probably.
But even if they did, they were like convicted ashamed of it.
Yeah.
It's not like they're living now. There. Yeah, so basically my parents had me out of wedlock. My mom came to this country. I was by myself living with my siblings, not even my dad. So I wasn't really, and my family wasn't really much religious. My mom will send me to a Catholic school. Private school, but a private school in third world countries it's just like a regular school, So what's the question? When did I become convicted?
Yeah, when did you...
So I'm
Okay.
I'm just giving you background, okay?
Right, I understand. But what I'm trying to pinpoint to is when is the first time you felt convicted to... When's the first time you felt conviction that led you to taking your faith seriously?
Okay, so I'm gonna start drinking this
Because it's usually a sin or something, or a form of, or an occurrent, or a constant form of habit that causes you to feel that conviction that makes you want to, change.
no, for me it was mostly
It's hard.
here's the thing. I always thought it was serious.
Okay.
Okay, I know. Okay, let me say. I thought it was important. I was immature, so I thought I would just put it aside. And I was never, again, I was, in my perspective, I was raised in a broken family with no faith. Right?
With
We have faith, but we didn't have religion. So it was a faith without religion. It was a faith without works. We believed, but we did not act. We did not go to church.
You believe the basic things.
It was
like surface level things. Like God exists.
It was a theism. Yes.
Yeah.
It was
God
exists. God will help you if you pray.
Yeah.
That's it. And we will pray only like when we needed Him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's no need to go to church. Why would you go to church? It's a waste of time. I don't know. That's not something in particular that they will say, but it was assumed that no, I was not raised in that environment, so it was a lapsed Catholic environment. Again, when I took it seriously was when I thought, I was raised in a Catholic school, right. So I knew I was expected to do my confirmation someday. So I told my mom, hey, I was already in America, so I was already in the United States.
So you did your first communion here?
I did. I'm traveling through time.
Okay.
So I did my first communion when I was 10 years old in Bolivia. Now, jumping the time to...
Time skip.
Yeah. To the year of our Lord.
Of our Lord?
2017.
What do you say, the year of our Lord?
You don't know that?
No.
AD, right? Anno Domini.
I mean, I've heard it. I just don't understand why they say that.
Because the year 0, it's when Jesus was born.
Right, I understand that. AD. But
so
why
the years
AD
after
the year of our
Jesus.
Lord?
Exactly. So the years after Jesus was born are AD.
I don't know. I don't like the saying. But go on.
In the old documents, it will say the year of our Lord 1737.
Okay.
Christian
It makes sense. It makes sense.
So the year of our Lord 2017.
The year of Jubilee 2007.
Yes. 2017.
Uh-huh.
What was the question? I'm playing, bro. I'm playing. Yeah. So basically, when the time came to do my first communion, I told my mom, "Hey, we need to do that." So she's like, "Okay, let's look for a parish nearby." So we went parish hunting around the area.
Here.
In America, yes.
Again, for what?
For confirmation.
Okay.
Already, we're here.
Yeah.
I'm with my mom.
You're here with your mom, and you're seeking for another parish.
Yeah.
So that you can do your confirmation. Yes. Correct. Okay.
Confirmation.
Okay, go on.
Again,
and you asked her to do it.
I asked her to do it because again, I knew it was important, but I did not know much about the faith. But something in me knew.
Something was pulling you to it.
Something was pulling me to it because. Again, maybe it was being traditional, or maybe it was me just doing what my peers and my country were doing, because I saw that they were doing the same thing. So I felt like I was missing out on that. Because that's how you think when you're a kid, right?
Okay, so let's try to pinpoint to an answer why, like a clear answer.
Yes.
Which I know that it's multiple feelings at once, but which feeling do you think was the most apparent? Like the one that was the driving factor? Was it the influence of your friends doing it, or was it the fact that you felt like you knew it was important?
Both. I think it was most because I knew it was important. I was raised in a Catholic environment at school, not in the home, at school. So at school we will pray. We were very charismatic at school, very charismatic. So we will have, we will praise and worship. We will sing. Guy playing guitar. We will sing. We were praying for like.
Okay.
As a group.
Did you have a relationship with Jesus?
I would say, yeah. I was. They taught me really well.
You would pray and talk to Jesus.
Yeah, I never doubted. Okay. It wasn't clear enough. The sacraments, the church was not clear to me because the way it was portrayed, right? Because it was the mostly emotional, relationship, Protestant idea of religion that they had, right? Mm-hmm. So the sacraments and the church were not as clear cut to me, which, again, I wanted to learn that. I was curious.
Right.
That would be another factor that led me to wanting to have a confirmation,
right,
and learn more.
Okay.
So there were holes in my catechesis.
Right, but holes don't keep you from your relationship with Christ. Regardless, like what I'm trying to get to here is that I'm trying to find at which point in time your relationship with Jesus was taken seriously, where you took it seriously.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And you always had a relationship with Jesus.
Yes.
But do you think that you would call it serious at that point in time that you're talking about right now?
No.
No.
Because I was ignorant about most.
Okay. Did you ever talk to Jesus in a way where you were like, Lord, help me with this? How, like, I'm going through this, or I love you, forgive me, da 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 da. Did you ever talk to him like that at that time?
And when my sister got a miscarriage.
Okay.
It was right before I got like very serious with my faith.
Did you ever talk to him at that time just to talk to him?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was really emotional prayer. Because I was really upset about it.
Okay. In a point where you felt like you need him, you just spoke to him for the sake of talking to him.
No.
Okay.
Only when I needed him, because I was taught that.
Right. Whereas right now, sometimes you just talk to him, right?
Whereas today, today I recognize the need of constantly talking to him.
Right.
Because before it was just God, it's just a sort of genie.
So what I'm understanding now is that at that time, your relationship with Christ only went as far as what you knew at the time other people did. Yes. Or what you thought other people did.
Yeah, because I had no other reference. Mm-hmm. You're a kid.
Okay.
Your reference are your parents mostly.
Okay. So now take me to the part where we're at now, where you told me about seeking confirmation in a parish, and tell me in which part your relationship with him really took a step further.
I'm waiting for a burp to come out, but it's not coming out.
Which one comes first, the thought or the burp?
Not the thought is not.
The racing.
Out. Because when looking back, reflecting upon this moment that you're alluding to, I will say that when it is I did not have a prayer life before. Because again, prayer was only for asking when you needed help.
Right, because that's all you saw from people.
Right. For my mom mostly.
Right.
But when my sister got a miscarriage, I remember I was really upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really upset about God, about what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
This was 2019. So it was not 2017. It was actually 2019. Again, sophomore year of high school.
Right.
Really upset about it, and I asked him to like to take me instead of the child. Right.
Right.
So I never felt so convicted for in need of some help from, because I always, when you don't have a relationship, you depend on the material, you depend on your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not even my family could help us,
Right.
in that moment, right? So that was my first time actually like being on my knees and pray, like actually asking for help. And it was around the time, my confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
It was not my confirmation. Confirmation took me 2 years to do. Like I had to take 2 years of classes. So
Of course.
So during those classes, I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Those classes were very basic, but I actually learned a lot. It was an old dude. I still see him from time to time in the parish. He doesn't remember me, but he was really sort of like a grandfather role model, like an old dude telling us the basics of the faith. I didn't know that you had to go to church every Sunday.
Wow.
I didn't know that you had to when it comes to certain practices of the faith, like kneeling next to the pew before entering the pew.
Mm-hmm.
Very basic things. As 2019, I was already 16 years old, so we're all versed with technology in our generation.
Mm-hmm.
So as he was telling me these practices in my mind, I was encoding what being a Catholic means.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to back that up with research that I was doing online.
Mm-hmm.
So in that era, it was when I actually typed for the first time, what do Catholics do?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be a Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between Catholic and other Christians? Because my grandma was, she called herself evangelical. She's Protestant.
Mm-hmm.
She would always talk crap about Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
They're Mary worshippers, that
Mm-hmm.
they're not the right church, that all the Catholics they don't take their faith seriously,
Mm-hmm.
therefore their beliefs are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She would tell me these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to see the nitty-gritty details regarding the faiths,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's where the classes were useful in the long run. They're okay, but trying to back that up with research online was really what, and the fact that the Christian tradition engages the intellect, not only the faith, the emotions, attracted me. And I stumbled upon one of the videos from Bishop Robert Barron, and I remember after watching that video, I was like, okay, I'm a Catholic now. I'm gonna follow Jesus from now on.
Okay.
And from then on, I haven't changed from then on, really.
Mm-hmm.
My conviction has been the same from then on.
Okay.
So I was like around this time, from summer to fall of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm taking from this is the fact that you don't need a lot of information to have a relationship with Jesus. Like, you don't need a lot of information.
Of course.
But the points in which you really learn to love him and have a relationship with him is developed through learning more about him. And that's what stimulates the intellectual. Well, better saying, like, the intellectual stimulates your relationship with him because you're learning more about him. In the sense, like, forgive me, let me just finish this point. You can't fall in love and decide this is going to be my wife without learning more about her throughout the years. In the same way that it's no coincidence that a relationship with Jesus really takes a jump when you start learning more and more about him in a deeper way. And because God is so infinite, there's so much you can learn, and so you keep loving him the more you learn about him. And so I knew that the second I asked you the question of which is a point in time in which you feel like your relationship with him really took off, and you really felt convicted to have a relationship with him, I knew while asking that question that it was going to be a set of occurrences.
Yes.
Rather than that one single moment.
Yes.
And that's what I was trying to get to.
That single moment will be after
There
that
is no
time.
single moment.
For me, there is.
There is a single moment.
After I watched that Bishop Barron video.
Well,
but
okay,
it was.
It's the climax of the. It's the
Pause.
It's the climax of
Pause.
of the.
It is exactly the climax. It is a moment that was led to by previous experiences.
Right. It's a set of occurrences that has a climax, but it's the set of occurrences that is what caused you to take Jesus and your relationship with him more seriously. Can you stop making sexual innuendos in your head? Okay. You see, I didn't know all that. I knew many. I knew.
You knew many things.
I knew many things about that.
What do you?
You explained to me. You've explained to me before about your sister, the miscarriage, about catechism. I didn't know about the bald guy. I didn't know how.
Bald guy. Oh yeah.
I didn't know how much you didn't know. In my head, you always knew a lot. That's what I always thought.
Oh.
I didn't know. I didn't know the little details. But I feel like
do you really think I always knew? I was born like this.
Not that you were born like that, but that you knew that you were ahead of me by a couple years. That's what I thought.
Well, yeah, because you started.
I started like about 2 years after you.
Yes.
Or a year after you.
So 2 years.
What's shocking to me is that it wasn't that far off.
No, yeah, it was 2019, and basically, yeah. I mean, regarding your comments after what I said, learning more about Christ, I think it does stimulate the relationship a lot. At the same time, I think it's a charism that we have. I don't think everybody has to be intellectually engaged,
right,
in order to further their relationship.
That's why I said it's not necessary.
Right. So,
but it is
our charism. It's more like the things that the Dominicans do, or going into the orders, right? The religious orders. The Dominicans, they study the faith intellectually, right? Like they use reason, they use philosophy. They try to use philosophical language to explain the faith. They were always part of the Inquisition, right? When it comes to dealing with heretics, in order to make arguments against their claims. So the Dominicans were always studious members of the church.
Right.
That's a certain charism that they have. Doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
The Franciscans, on the other hand, they're more feeding the poor, out on the street, seeing Christ in the person on the street.
Seeing Christ on the.
That's valid too.
Oh no, they're all valid.
So their charism of furthering their relationship with Christ is as valid as ours, sitting and talking about Jesus and in a intellectually engaging way.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're supposed to do all those things. We're called to do all those things, but I feel like, as you said, we have a specific medium route to Jesus that outweighs all the other ones. So, I wanted to tell you about where my relationship with Christ started. Because you don't know. Right? I feel like I did explain it to you once, but I don't think you remember at all.
I actually don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I don't have it in my
I'm gonna bring it out of you by
my quick memory, but I have it somewhere. So maybe if you say, I'll remind you. So you can.
I don't think I've ever talked to you about it because I don't think I've thought about it, to be honest.
Yeah, you can start.
Thanks for the permission.
Of course, you have my blessing.
Like you, I always thought that it was very important and serious. I can think my earliest memory, like thinking about God in like a conscious way that wasn't just surface level. I think was when my dad, I was at the park with my dad, the baseball park, and he said, people that don't believe in God are stupid. He said that.
He said that?
Mm-hmm. And I remember through that time, I was having doubts about God's existence. And I think I was in elementary.
Like around 10-year-old? 10-year-old kid?
10, maybe 6th grade, but I'm pretty sure it was elementary. And I was like...
The 5th grade?
Sure, something around that. And I was like, I wonder if... does God really exist? And I just thought that to myself. Like, no theological basis, no argument for or against. Just, I think it was maybe like, okay, Santa does exist, I thought, and now I know he doesn't. The Tooth Fairy, I thought existed, now I know he doesn't. I've never seen God. Like this is my first time thinking about it. I don't know what my rationality was back then, but I just started to doubt. That's what I know for sure.
You're trying to like clean up. Okay, so I've been living in this fantasy, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, let's clean out what is not true.
Right. It was just more like, how do I know God exists? That's it. That's all it was.
Because you saw your parents having faith.
Right. I saw my parents having faith, and I was like, what would the opposite be? That's what I thought. So like, what if he didn't exist? And then I was starting to have doubts, and then I remember we continued walking after he told me that. Mm-hmm. That was shocking, huh? Because it's mango, not pineapple. You thought it was pineapple?
It's so good, bro.
Yeah. So I started walking, and I felt really convicted.
So good.
And I was never... I was always a very sensitive kid. Very emotional. So the second that my dad said that, I started thinking, so am I stupid? Does my own dad think I'm stupid for having doubts about God? Because he said...
He wouldn't, because he didn't know.
He didn't know. That's the crazy thing.
It was in your mind.
But the fact that he said people that don't believe in God are stupid, and I was having doubts, which means that I potentially...
you could potentially land up as being stupid.
But to me, potential is the same as yes is, because I don't know what...
In your mind as a 10-year-old.
How I'm going to come out of this doubt. So I got really worried and anxious and convicted. I asked my dad, I need to tell you something. And we sat in the benches, and I was like, I don't know if I believe in God. Like, I have doubts. Like, I've been doubting God's existence. And then he says, that's normal. That's okay. But to me, my dad's always been very, like, rough at times. And so, as soon as he said all people that think God doesn't exist is stupid, I automatically thought that I was going to be a disappointment to my dad. Mm-hmm. And I always took that route when I thought about things very young. Like, I always jumped the gun. And then that gave me some relief. I think the next thing I remember was scrolling through my phone and seeing naked girls online for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, and that was because of the exposure that was given to me because of my classmates, especially in the bus. They would talk about like pornography and all that.
Right. And
I always knew that it wasn't okay. And I prided myself with the fact that I had never masturbated or watched porn until eventually they tricked me once and showed it to me, saying, oh, look, this is a normal video. And then they showed it to me, and I saw it, and then I started to feel an attraction towards it.
A curiosity.
Attraction.
Attraction.
Because there was no curiosity. I already saw what a naked woman looked like because they showed it to me. And then it was an attraction, and I was like, I want to see more of that.
Because you liked it.
Because I liked it.
Right.
I was going through puberty for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went on my phone, and I remember being in the corner of the room and just scrolling through. And it was like the most, like, innocent way of looking at porn. Naked boobs. Naked girls. Oh, no. Actually, I think how it started off was YouTube pranks. Making out with strangers in the street type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to look at that. I saw myself watching it, like,
Mm-hmm.
for an obscenely long time. And then I went to that. And I remember feeling conviction over that. Like, deep conviction. Like really bad about it. I felt really bad about it. To the point that I told my mom that I was watching porn. I told my mom. Because I've always thought, like, listen to this. I've always thought, like, if I have an issue...
I remember that part you told me.
Especially a moral issue, you should go to your parents because you can trust them. So I went straight to my mom. I did the only thing that I knew what to do. I went straight to my mom. I said I've been watching porn. No, I didn't say it like that because I didn't know really. I was pretty sure it was in middle school at the time, like 6th grade. I was like I've been looking at naked girls, like on my phone. And she's like, that's okay. Like, not that the act is okay, but like.
Just say let me have my reactions.
I know, but I'm gonna respond to your reactions if you're reacting.
You don't know what I'm reacting to.
Whatever. She said, it's okay to have that attraction. Like, like, it's okay. Like, what did she say? Like, it's not good to do that, but it's okay. Like, she saw I was very anxious. She was trying to calm me down.
Mm-hmm.
She was basically like, just don't do it anymore, blah, blah. I was like, okay. But I stopped for like probably a month and I kept going. And then the next thing I remember right now was that I became an altar boy. And that really, really took a toll. Like, on my conviction. Like, it amplified my conviction. Because
What conviction?
Against my mortal sin. And my desire to... It wasn't more like a desire to want to get closer to Jesus. It was more like... It was just conviction. That's all it was. It was just conviction.
Define that.
Guilt.
Okay.
Knowing that I was doing something wrong. And I didn't have the relationship with Christ that I do now. In a sense of like, oh, I'm sorry that I'm hurting you, Jesus, by hurting me. Like, I didn't have that. I maybe probably said it, but I didn't have it like I do now. And if anything, it was just more like...
I'm breaking a moral rule.
I'm breaking a moral rule. That's what it was.
Right.
I felt very guilty about it.
It's like lying.
Yeah. Well, I didn't care about lying that much.
Oh,
compared to this, because I was like, this is a mortal sin. Even though I didn't know it was a mortal sin, I knew it was like one of the worst things you could do.
How do you know? Because I didn't think that way before.
You didn't think that way?
No, I was the opposite.
Because I was taught like that.
I wasn't taught like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was taught by my parents. They've lived a very like...
So your parents are
My
actually...
parents are devout and have always been devout Catholics.
You have to,
always been. And so because of their influence of knowing how they were and how they waited till marriage and all that, I knew that pornography was bad. And
you were directly taught that.
Right. And I had the higher standard already.
And you had the
higher standard. And I knew that by watching porn I was right here compared to my parents.
Correct.
And I looked up to them and I had to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was doing that, I felt like I was right here and I felt really guilty about it.
Right.
And then when I became an altar boy, and I was like as close to the Eucharist that almost anyone could ever be. Because I was literally up at the altar with the priest, helping him. And also, I was the one with the pads that would help in the distribution of communion.
Mm-hmm.
Where the... What is it called again? The extraordinary minister and the priest would give out the communion. I would hold the pad underneath where it would be the space between the person and the priest or the extraordinary minister.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hold the pad so if any particles would fall, they would fall onto the padding. And I remember seeing the other kids that were altar boys and altar girls. Well, it was two people.
Mm-hmm.
Altar boy, altar girl, they were siblings. And it was me and my sister that got into it. And I saw how they wouldn't take communion.
They wouldn't?
No, they wouldn't. And how they were altar service. And I started thinking, they don't take communion. I should stop taking communion because I knew that I was taking it in a state of mortal sin.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I wouldn't have called it mortal sin, but I knew
How
that.
old were you?
7th grade. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, middle school.
So in middle school, you knew that it was a mortal sin.
I knew that it was something
That you shouldn't take communion in a mortal sin.
Again, I didn't know the terminology mortal sin, but I knew that I shouldn't have been doing it. That I couldn't. I knew the rules. I knew the standards. I knew that. I knew the restrictions. I knew the limitations. I knew that. I knew what I was allowed to do and what I wasn't allowed to do. I knew it.
That's the difference between you and me. I had no idea. So you were actually ahead of me. In the practicals.
In the basics.
In the basics.
And I knew. And I felt really guilty always going to church. And I was actually taking communion in a state of mortal sin.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew, but I didn't know enough. And when I knew enough, I stopped taking communion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I felt really bad not taking communion as an altar server. And I saw other people taking it. And I felt really convicted.
Why? Because everybody else was doing it and you were not doing it, so you wanted to follow the lead? Or because you knew it was Jesus and you wanted to be with him?
I knew it was Jesus because my dad taught me that it was always Jesus. And he always respected the Eucharist as if it was God. Now, I didn't have the relationship with God that I do now, therefore I didn't know how important the Eucharist was. Mm-hmm. But I knew that it was important. Basics. I knew that it was important. I had basic catechesis. That's what I had. And because I had the higher standard to look up to, my behavior paralleled to it. Therefore, I knew what I couldn't and what I could do. Now, I don't mean overall behavior. I mean like what behaviors I should and shouldn't be doing. That's what I mean. So when I saw that I shouldn't be taking the Eucharist because I was doing this, I stopped taking the Eucharist. And then because of the higher standards around me, it made me feel bad that I wasn't taking the Eucharist. And I had a community around me that was already like, that would try to uphold me to that higher standard. Not because of their telling me, but because of their influence, because of how they acted. Because of how they acted, yes. I would talk to the priest.
Little Havana?
Yeah. I would talk to the priest. I would have conversations with the priest. They would ask me about my day, So I felt even more guilty. I literally had a more intimate relationship with the service of the church to the people than most people will ever have in their entire life. No one had that intimacy like I did. And because I was in that room and I was able to be in the office and all of that, I had like free roam in the church. I really did. Every day that I could go wherever I wanted. And the fact that I was doing all of that made me feel extra guilty.
So you were breaking moral law in your head.
Let me explain this.
And you were privileged. So...
Let me tell you how convicted I was. I'm sorry. Let me just say this. I was so convicted, and I was actually battling it. Like maybe I wasn't trying to stop, but I was so convicted that I was battling it in a way.
So you're 14 in 7th grade.
I don't know how old I was. I'm not even gonna try to think about that. I don't like math. But listen.
It matters.
I was deeply convicted. And I know I was deeply convicted because I would, in my conviction, I would shower in my grandma's bathroom because I lived in my grandma's house. And we had 2 bathrooms that we would call one my grandma's bathroom and one my parents' bathroom. I would just shower in my grandma's bathroom because it was bigger. There was one day that I felt deep conviction. I took a shower and I left. And I looked at the glass sliding door for the bathroom. And you know how fog leaves, like the moisture leaves like fog on the glass window? I saw like faces on the glass window and they like stared back at me in guilt or like judgment. And that was my conviction. And I saw it. And I sat on the couch and I wanted to cry so bad because of the conviction I had. And another moment in which I felt conviction is when in that same church on Good Friday, the church had a practice of everyone going up to the cross that was in the middle, like right in front of the altar.
And you kiss the cross.
And you kiss like the cross.
The adoration of the cross, right?
Bro. Walking down, I kind of felt unworthy, but regardless, I had my reverence. I walked down, I kissed the cross, and I walked back. on the way walking back from the aisle, right before I sit, I saw this lady that looked old, and she looked up at me like this, and she just went, like staring at me like that, while like shaking her head like that. And I was like, what the hell was that? I sat back down and I tried to look for her and I couldn't find her.
So you're starting having visions.
Visions, maybe it was real, I don't know, but that's actually what happened.
It was either a vision or maybe you actually were like doing something wrong in the altar and you're like, nah, this kid is...
No, I didn't. I did nothing that the other people didn't do. They just kissed the cross and then went back to their seat. I kissed the cross and I saw that lady shaking her head at me, and she gave very, her feeling, her aura, if you want to say, was very malevolent. That's the word, right?
Like mean?
Like, I don't want to say evil, but borderline evil. She just looked at me like this. And she wore very old clothes, like a veil almost. But like a black veil. And I'm sure you could wear a black veil at church, but it just looked like not okay. Like she didn't give me good vibes. You want more?
Good vibes.
She didn't give me good vibes. And so that was another time when which I felt conviction. And then the next time I remembered is when I was in 9th grade in Miami High and I had a girlfriend. And I was watching porn.
Miami Senior High.
Right. I was watching porn while I was dating her.
9th grade.
9th grade. And I felt conviction. And I didn't know how to explain it. But I would send her paragraphs upon paragraphs of how I was feeling. And she wouldn't understand. Because I was so ambiguous. Like I
purposely ambiguous.
Right. Because I tried to explain it to her without letting her know the fact that I was watching porn. Which is like almost impossible.
Because why? Because you were embarrassed, number one?
No, because I knew it was wrong and she probably wouldn't like it.
So you were like immature enough to not do it because you're a kid.
Immature enough to do what?
To not tell her.
Right.
Can you look up and say Arnold?
Arnold?
Yeah, look at the ceiling and say Arnold.
You're gonna throw like a grape at me or something. You're making me like catch it in my mouth or something.
Yeah.
No. You can just throw it up, I'll catch it.
No, say
100%. No, this is gay, bro. Just go on. Let me finish my story.
Go like that.
Shut up. So that's
say Arnold.
Stop, bro. Let me finish. This is so seriously. That's when I felt like those are the 3 times that I really felt conviction, and I actually went to confession here and there, like maybe 3 times or 4 times, like a handful of times between those years. And I stopped because I looked at my grandma and I saw that she didn't take communion, and her reason for not taking communion was
divorce.
No, not divorce, but just it probably could have been divorce, but was also because she's like, I know I'm gonna do these things again, so why should I go to confession? And so I took that as, I know I'm going to do this again, so why should I go back? And my parents would always say, go back to confession, go back to confession, go back to confession. You should go back to confession. They would go to confession, like, pretty regularly. Not maybe once a week or once a month, but they would go regularly. I don't know if they went once a month, because I didn't know everything that they did.
Right.
But I'd see them go often, and they would invite me, and I never would want to go. And they would kind of, like, look down upon me. Not in, like, not in, like, a judgmental way, but in, like, a, you should, you know? So whatever. Then 9th grade, that thing happens. Me and my girlfriend break up. Whatever. I started writing in the journal. I reflected on my character, and I realized that I was just a class clown in class. And the way that I was writing, I wanted to make something of it. And so I wanted to take myself more serious, and I wanted other people to take me more serious.
People didn't take you seriously.
No.
Was it because of your behavior?
And if they would take me seriously, I would have to act extra serious for them to take me seriously. Like I would have to make it known that I was being serious. But it wasn't like this. It wasn't like me saying something serious, like actually deeply serious, and them laughing at me. It wasn't like that. It was just more like I didn't expect that of myself, so I rarely did that anyways.
Yeah, because like if they had to do that, then your behavior during that time of your life was so...
It was just class clowny. Like, I was just in class, like, making stupid jokes, doing stupid things where the teachers would always get mad at me, type of thing.
Yeah, you talk
I
like
was
that.
a nuisance.
Of course, you talk like that, like if it's not normal, but like most people are not like that in high school. Most people are like submissive and shy in school.
Mm-hmm.
You're like the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So
your case is particular.
But again, I was never. It was weird because I'm in the middle. I've always, in a way, my dad has always called me like this. I've always been noble. In the sense that I can be very guilty and I always want to do right. But the same way, if I see a lack of authority anywhere, like amongst my peers, like if there's not a kid in the class that is like the top dog and you can tell like the alpha, like the big kid in class who looks bigger and he makes everyone laugh and all that, then I'll take advantage of that and I'll fill that hole. You know what I mean? It's very particular. So I would do that.
Is that like a necessity of being?
It's just taking opportunity. That's all I did. That's all it was.
Yeah, I'm just trying to examine your personality because that's very rare for people to do that. You have to have some sort of, certain type of personality for you.
I had instances in which I was very introverted and very extroverted. That's what it was. And it was rarely ever in the middle. Like I never really controlled myself to a medium. It was always boom or boom. So 9th grade is when I started to take my relationship with God seriously. 9th grade it was, but it wasn't until I would say 11th grade, to the point in which I started doing deep research. Okay. So, how important is your faith to you now?
How important? I'm thinking how to phrase the question because I know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
After I watched that video of YouTube, Bishop Robert Barron, again the climax.
Mm-hmm.
I felt as if the faith it's like a rock. It's like the parable of Jesus, right? If you build a house on a rock, it's gonna last. But if you build a house on sand, it's gonna fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus is the rock. I recognize from the beginning that if I keep the faith, I already have foundation. I already have meaning in life. Because lots of people are looking for meaning. Lots of our people our age, people throughout time, not only our age, people throughout time, like humanity as a whole wants meaning, and I found it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That climax of recognition. This is it. That was it. And yeah. So.
And you accepted it like that, or did it take some time?
Oh no. Okay. Of course, it was
in the midst of your research. Did it take some time, or did you accept it?
Okay, the whole process from first communion to confirmation.
No, but I'm talking about when you started doing your research from the moment of Bishop Robert Barron's video, when you said, "I want to follow Jesus."
That's where I recognized that following Jesus was my rock.
Right.
Was my meaning.
Right, but when that was first introduced to you in the video, was it exact that you just took it in and you're like, "Yes, I take it," or was it like, "Let me test the water first"?
It was a feeling of both. Because again, my emotions wanted to. No, it's the opposite. My reason wanted to. It seemed reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But by